Have you ever wondered what to do with that liquid in your can of chickpeas? Well, today we're going to take a deep dive into the magic that is aquafaba. I'm going to explain what aquafaba is, the science behind it, its amazing uses in baking and cooking, and I will show you how to make it perfectly at home. And along the way, I'm going to share a few basic and simple recipes that'll make you wonder why you ever threw out this liquid gold in the first place. Greetings and welcome to or welcome back to PB with Jay. Here on the channel, we focus on all things plant-based goodness. And you have all been asking me for a long time for an aquafaba masterclass, so here it is. When it comes to finding a simple egg or oil replacer for vegan or egg-free recipes, a lot of people find it to be a daunting task. You may have tried flaxseed or chia seed, or mashed up bananas or potatoes or something else, but let's be real. Some of those work really well in some recipes, but they can be finicky. And I've found in my experience, they often end up in a dish that's either too dense or too soggy. And you want something that is kind of foolproof and works well all the time, right? Aquafaba. Well, aquafaba is the game changer that you have probably just been throwing out. It's got a lot of things going for it. It's plant-based, it's vegan, it's gluten-free, it has a neutral flavor. But what's really magical about it is it has the binding properties that mimic eggs and oils almost perfectly. This video is long overdue on the channel, so I am glad to finally bring it to you. I've showed a lot in the past how I use aquafaba at random in different videos, but here we are going to put all the knowledge in one place. I'm going to give you a lot of ideas, but I'm sure I'm going to miss some along the way. So let me know in the comments down below if there's anything you use aquafaba for that I have missed, or anything you're curious if it can do. But before we jump into the video, I'd like to say a special hello to some of the people who've said hello to us in the comments down below. Anna from Southwestern Virginia, Rebecca from Columbia, Missouri, Joanne from Maryland, Pat from Connecticut, Sherry from Cloverdale, BC, Topaz from Twisp, Washington, Robin from Boyne City, Michigan, Yvette from Perth, Australia, Charlotte from the County of Norfolk in the United Kingdom, Finbert from Denmark, Wendy from Saskatoon, Fiona from Boston, Elizabeth from Bend, Oregon, and Valerie from Our Mighty Network. What is Our Mighty Network, you may ask? Well, it is a place where you can get a bump up on this shout out list, but you can also get other perks like advanced viewings of these videos, but mostly it's our members exclusive message boards where people share information, recipes, and lots of other things. It's like PB with J 2.0. And you can join for the price of a crappy cup of coffee a month. And I would love to give an additional special shout out to one of the members over there who is really the inspiration for me making this video. She's been asking it for a long time, so this video is especially dedicated to Kimberly. Thanks, Kimberly. All right, so what is aquafaba? Aquafaba comes from the Latin with aqua meaning water and fava meaning bean. It's literally bean water. And I know that sounds gross, but it's a game changer in the kitchen, especially for people that are plant-based or vegan, or those who have egg allergies, or even just for people who are looking to have reduced processed fats in their diet. Aquafaba was discovered in 2014 when French chef Jules Roussel discovered its properties while experimenting with egg replacements. Since then, it has become a staple in vegan and plant-based cooking and baking. And while it is a solid egg replacement, I find it works equally well for oil. So let's get nerdy for a second. How does this stuff work? The chemical composition of aquafaba contains proteins, starches, and soluble plant solids. These components mimic the properties of egg whites, allowing them to act as an emulsifier, a foaming agent, and also a binding agent. Science! That's right, baking is science. We knew this, right? You know baking is science. When you whip aquafaba, the proteins and starches create a foam that is remarkably similar to whipped egg whites. This is why it works so well to make things like meringues and macaroons. That's right, you can use it to make vegan whipped cream. Vegan whipped aquafaba. Vegan whipped cream sounds more tasty. More tasty. Additionally, its emulsifying properties make it perfect for recipes like mayonnaise and salad dressings where you might normally use oil to make it smooth and creamy. And replacing eggs and oil with aquafaba has a whack of health benefits. Reduced fat and calories. Aquafaba is virtually fat-free, which makes it an ideal choice for somebody who is looking to limit their caloric intake. It's only 5 calories per tablespoon. Now compare that with the average oil, which is 100 calories per tablespoon. It has an enhanced nutritional profile. Unlike oil, aquafaba contains a small amount of protein and fiber from the chickpeas. It has an improved texture. In baking, I find that aquafaba creates a lighter, airier texture than oil. And a bonus is that it doesn't make things taste greasy. So now that we know that aquafaba is a really awesome, healthy option for replacing egg and oil, how do you get it? The easiest way to get aquafaba is simply by keeping the liquid that you find in the can of chickpeas that you get from the store. Make sure you check the label on the can that there's no additional things added to it. But if you want to make your own with the same consistency, here's the recipe I've been using. This recipe makes about 3.5 to 4 cups of aquafaba, as well as a lot of chickpeas that you can use for many other things. We've used chickpeas for a lot of things here on the channel, from falafels to like a tuna salad sandwich to cookie dough. That's right, we have a cookie dough recipe.
Oh.
You're welcome. I'll link it in the description down below. If you've got some time in advance, soak 2 cups of chickpeas in just a bunch of water and let them sit ideally overnight or up to 8 hours. It's just gonna reduce your cooking time. I will now give you stovetop and Instant Pot directions for how to make it. For the Instant Pot, if you soak your chickpeas in advance, drain out that soaking liquid, add them to your Instant Pot with another 6 cups of fresh water. Cook them for about 20 minutes and then let them naturally release, which should take another 30 minutes. Then you're gonna let them just sit inside there until they come to room temperature. You're then gonna transfer all of that into another container and then just leave it in the fridge, ideally for another couple of hours overnight if you have time to do so, and just let it all just marinate and gel together for maximum protein saturation. If you didn't soak them in advance, that's totally fine. Just give them a quick rinse and instead add 7.5 cups of fresh water to your Instant Pot. And now you're gonna cook it on manual for 46 minutes. And then the rest of the same instructions I already gave applies. For the stovetop, it's pretty much essential that you soak them in advance, otherwise it's just gonna take you forever to cook. Don't do that to yourself. Just like with the Instant Pot, you're gonna drain the original soaking liquid and then you're gonna add this to the stovetop with 8 cups of fresh water. Cover the pot with a lid and bring it to a boil. And just be careful because it can boil over quickly. You want to bring it down to a nice simmer. Skim off any foam that collects at the top and just discard that. After the chickpeas do come to a boil, bring them down to a simmer and then cook them for like 65 to 75 minutes. And then just like the Instant Pot, once it's cooked, turn the heat off, let it just sit and come to room temperature all together, and then you're gonna transfer that to another container, put it in the fridge, leave it for a couple hours or overnight. And then no matter which of these methods you've chosen, once they've cooled for a couple hours in the fridge, you're then gonna strain that liquid out and put the chickpeas aside and put the liquid into something like a mason jar. I like to write the date on it so that I know when that batch was made. This stuff's gonna last at least a week inside of your fridge, but you can also freeze it. Just make sure it is nice and cool before you do so. If it starts to smell a little bit extra funky or gets really, really cloudy, it's probably time to toss it. Now that you know how to make it, let's dive into the various ways you can use it. Like I said, it essentially breaks down as either an egg and or oil replacement. So let's tackle those one at a time. Let's start with eggs. Here's the basics. 3 tablespoons of aquafaba replaces 1 egg. That's it. 3 to 1. That's the math. So when you're taking an omnivore recipe that uses eggs, just replace it with that amount. It's that simple. This works for cakes, cookies, brownies, pretty much any kind of baking because it has the same leavening and binding properties as an egg. Now let's talk about meringues and whips because these things traditionally rely on egg whites for their texture. And with aquafaba, you can create the same light and airy consistency. It's magic, right? My basic recipe is taking 3/4 cup of aquafaba, putting it into a high-speed mixer, along with 1 teaspoon of cream of tartar. Blend that up, mix that at your high whipping speed until it starts to foam up, and then you're just gonna add your sweetener in, whatever you want. I like to use maple syrup, about 1 tablespoon at a time, until it gets to the sweetness of your choice. You're gonna keep on whipping it for like 10 to 15 minutes until stiff peaks have formed. And the beauty of this, unlike egg whites, is you can't over mix them. Once it gets to this point, you're good to go. But if you wanna add any other extracts for flavoring or some cocoa powder to make it chocolatey, go for it. If you wanna make mousse out of it, super easy. Just melt some non-dairy chocolate and pour it in, stir it around, Pour it into a couple little serving bowls and stick it in the fridge and let it set.
Way better than the last one you made.
If you want to make a meringue, just take a spoonful of it at a time, plop it onto a baking sheet, and bake it at 250 degrees Fahrenheit inside your oven for 45 minutes. And once that 45-minute hits, do not open it. Just turn the oven off and let it sit in there for another 60 minutes. Then you're gonna check it and they should be perfect. For macaroons, I've never personally made them, but I know that the process is similar. It's just a little bit more delicate in the folding process. So if you wanna know how to make those, I would recommend doing a Google search or a YouTube search to find another recipe. And if you do find one that you like, put it in the comments down below so other people can benefit from your knowledge. Aquafaba is also perfect for making like a mayonnaise or an aioli or a dressing. Why? Because it's an emulsifier. It makes things creamy as it stirs up. You want to make something like a vegan mayonnaise or an aioli? Super simple. Mix aquafaba with mustard, vinegar, and salt, and then just whip it till it's creamy. Keep on tasting it and testing it and adding different increments of those things until it has the flavor profile that you like. Do you do baking and you like to have an egg wash to make your crusts and whatnot a little extra crisp? Use aquafaba for that. You can literally swap it out just like you would with an egg wash. Just dip a little silicone brush or whatever you've got in it and spread it all around. I've done that a lot for scones and pies. Beautiful. And yes, for those that are asking, you can use aquafaba the same way you would use egg whites in alcoholic drinks. So you can make your whiskey sour with that signature frothy top. Awesome, right? All right, let's talk about how you can use it to replace oil. When using aquafaba with baked goods, you can still get the same moisture and tenderness. And in terms of the swap, it's literally 1-to-1. Whatever amount of oil it calls for, use that amount of aquafaba. Here's some examples. Cakes and muffins. Just replace the equivalent amount of oil with aquafaba in your favorite cake or muffin recipe. You get to create a lighter, fluffier texture. I've used this in everything from chocolate cake to banana bread to muffins. Want to make a low-fat version of a brownie? Use aquafaba instead of oil. You get a nice, moist, and chewy brownie without all that excess grease and oil. Aquafaba works especially well in cookies. In my experience, it creates a nice, soft, and chewy cookie. Use it in whatever you want, anything from oatmeal cookies to chocolate chips. Now, in cooking, you can use aquafaba to roast or saute vegetables the way you would use oil. I find with a non-stick pan, I don't use anything to get my vegetables cooking because they release a little bit of water themselves. But if you want something to just aid them along or just give it a little coating and add a little added flavor, throw a little aquafaba in there. Same goes with roasting your vegetables. I just toss mine in a little bit of aquafaba and it does the same thing of browning them and giving them that little goldenness that putting oil on does. And what's really, really great is if you want to add some seasoning and spices for them to roast in, the aquafaba helps them stick to the vegetables. This is good for anything from carrots to potatoes to Brussels sprouts. You name it, roasted goodness. And when it comes to dressings and sauces, it's like I already mentioned with the egg stuff. It's an emulsifier. Take any dressing recipe you have that uses oil in it and just replace it with an equivalent amount of aquafaba. And you will get a beautiful, light, and airy and creamy texture without all of that extra fat. Think about how most recipes call for like a half a cup of oil in their dressings. That's a huge calorie savings. And you don't lose any of the flavor. So it's kind of a no-brainer, right? Why would you use oil when you could just use aquafaba? So now that you know what aquafaba is, how to make it yourself, and what you can do with it, let us know in the comments down below if there's anything that we missed or anything that you use aquafaba for that we haven't mentioned. Let us know what things you're excited to use aquafaba for, and if there's another plant-based or vegan ingredient that seems foreign to you that you would like us to do a deep dive here on the channel with. If you haven't hit that like button, please do so YouTube knows to share this with other people, and subscribe for more videos like this. Speaking of other videos on our channel, this is the one that YouTube has queued up for you to watch next. They're like, if you like aquafaba videos, this is the one that's just gonna put the icing on the cake and make it thing do, I don't know. I need my green tea. Where's my green tea?